Every religion has different rights and obligations for their practitioners. It doesn't matter if you're a big monotheistic religion like Christianity or Islam, or some sort of pagan tradition worshiping wood spirits, or even you love Jupiter and Aphrodite. The important thing is there are several different occasions which will have different religious requirements that when you're building your fantasy world and your fantasy religion, if you write these simple things, your fantasy religion will feel much more real to the average reader or player. All religions will have some sort of rite of initiation that separates its members from the rest of the world. Now, for a lot of people, this might be close to birth. Traditional ideas would be like baptism, sometimes at birth. For Jews, snippy snippy, gotta snip the little boys. You can even see this in less centralized religions. For example, in many Native American religions, you have to go into a sweat lodge and have some sort of spiritual vision. In others, you take drugs until you have a spiritual vision. Others can be a little bit more ceremonial, dunking you in a bunch of water. They can put funky smelling oils on you. You can walk over hot coals. Whatever the case may be, some initiation ceremony can really add a lot of flavor to separate a character of one religion from the rest of the world. The next big one is often adulthood. What can be considered an adult varies from group to group. For the Jewish people, you generally have a bar mitzvah at 13 years old. In other groups, you would have your first hunt by yourself. You were required to bring back a kill and share it with everybody else. In others, you maybe raided a village and got yourself a girl. For women, it's often menstruation, but with this, you often have a change of clothes, a change of hairstyle. You might have a red dot on your forehead. You might have a nose ring. Something to let the world know that you are an adult and you are perhaps available. Usually these ceremonies will occur somewhere between puberty and the late teens, 20-ish. After this, the next one we see is often marriage. Every society has married, and in some places, what is more of a secular marriage and what is a religious marriage can be blurred. So, for example, there's the apocryphal story of African Americans jumping over the broom. That's more of a cultural than a religious, but they could be combined. In most Western cultures, you have some sort of an officiant. The two people come together. Do you want this guy? Do you want that lady? Or, hey, it's 2021, baby. Do you want other guy? Lady, do you want other lady? Sure, go for it. In some cultures, you can have polyamory. You can have, like Nepal, they often have several brothers who marry one woman, or you can be the other way, polygamy. You can have one guy who marries a lot of different women. This was actually very common in the ancient world based on the resources available. The more resources someone had, the more wives he could have. If they were relatively poor, maybe you had to share a wife. Not the best hand-me-down. In some cultures, the man must prove himself, complete some sort of a heroic deed. He must give a dowry, a bunch of money, prove he has a land and a home and some cows or chickens or, whatever they do in that country. That absolutely can be the same for women. Could be in your story, it's a quest to gain a dowry, to be able to help to provide for her life. The next big ceremony that all religions would have is the initiation into a religious order. You can be a member of the religion in general, but you are not a member of the clergy or priesthood or ministry or whatever you want to call it. That requires a special ordainment. In many of the major religions that we have, you would have a priesthood. Even going back to the ancient Egyptians, there were ceremonies that after a period of study and a period to purify yourself and make yourself holy, you would then become a priest of whatever god you wanted. Even in shamanistic traditions, a shaman must complete some sort of training period with another shaman and or have vision quests. By having one of these kinds of ceremonies, it can really enhance the feel of your characters. In the D&D world, for example, paladins at level 3 will take their vow and specify what track they want to go through. That should be a very special occasion. If you really play it up, it makes the paladins seem like they're not just some random fighting guy who can use some spells. They're really dedicated to whatever god, and they are part of this religious order. Members of religious orders will often have special implements, statues, special things that they use to pray with, maybe some oils or some water, or maybe even fire. The idea is to purify someone, to make them worthy. The next one that everybody goes through is, how do you pray? Now, the original word from prayer comes from the Mesopotamia area, which means to serve. The idea is that you serve someone or some being, a god. You do things to appease them. This could be giving them sacrifices, working at their temple, proselytizing, maybe conquering enemies, fighting an enemy deity. And in return, this god will give you something. Often wealth, lots of kids, maybe lots of wives or, husbands, whatever you're into. Prayer itself can mean many different things to many people. Is it saying a specific prayer? In Christianity, you have the Lord's Prayer, the Our Father. In Islam, you have the call to prayers. There are specific prayers that you say. In others, there are more just pleadings. There are not necessarily specific words you must say to pray, but you must make a plea to the spirit or the God that you wish to gain something from. In many religions, you are required an exchange. You must buy something from the temple. You must sacrifice animals, sacrifice plants, sacrifice part of yourself, give of time. It could be as simple as you must shave your head, like in Buddhism. Anytime someone is initiated into one of these orders, they will have something that separates them. Buddhist monks have saffron robes. Taoists generally wear dark blue or black. Many Christian sects will have a white collar. Many of these things can be part-time or full-time, depending. Some religions require their officiants to be on that job 24/7. In other religions, it's more of a part-time thing. Many Shinto priests have other jobs and they just sort of maintain a shrine, and maybe on holy days, they'll come out. Another way to pray is on specified holy days. Now, different holy days will have different requirements. They often require some kind of prayer, but some will require the giving of gifts, some will require sacrifices, some will require specific, almost like plays or songs or dancing and feasting. All of these things will add a lot of flavor to your religion if you just think of a few. The last main thing that all religions will have in common is some sort of a funerary rite. The rite itself will depend on geography, and it will depend on what they think of an afterlife. For most of the world, it's burying someone in the ground. We often say 6 feet under. 6 feet under is really to prevent animals from digging up the body and eating it and spreading it all around. And, if they're going to become a vampire, 6 feet of dirt is pretty heavy and they're not going to come back from that. So go for it. But also in many parts of the world, you have burning of the body. Have it become dust, or at least to the bones, and then inter the bones. In other societies, they'll hack your body apart, like in Tibet, and leave it for the vultures in what they call a sky burial. Many of these kinds of places, they don't have a lot of fuel for fires, and they don't really want to waste it on people. In other places, they'll put you in a boat, put you down the river or out to sea. I would not want to be the city down the river that keeps getting boats of dead people. That sounds horrible. Other societies like the Irish, they'll have a wake. They'll have a large party. In New Orleans, they have parades. In other places, it's very somber and very quiet. Your decision of how to officiate a funeral and what style of funeral will add a lot of flavor to the society in which it's in. All right, this is Yan Zhao. This is the latest in the why religion in D&D sucks, or why a lot of made-up religions suck for your writing, and how you can fix it. Check out the first 2 in the series, and hopefully there will be more soon. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, more is coming soon, and leave a comment down below. What did you think? Was it informative? What kind of things would you like to know about religions next? I think next issue we are going to talk about pantheons. What makes a pantheon? How are pantheons different? What do they have in common? And how you can make yours rock.